And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today on the 12th, oh God, I am so disheveled right now. Welcome back to Box Office Report. Today on the 1st of December, 2024. And it is a nice weekend at box office. I actually had to double check to see if this was like the biggest box office weekend of the year. It's not. The opening weekend of Deadpool Wolverine outpaces it by a little bit. But it is a higher weekend for them. But still, it's a fantastic weekend. Moana 2 opens with $135.5 million for its opening weekend, not including the Thanksgiving weekend. Those numbers don't count. I mean, they count to the overall total, but not for the opening weekend, giving it the third highest opening weekend of the year. Wicked has a fantastic second weekend drop, only 28.9%, making $80 million. Gladiator 2 also has a really good weekend drop. 44.2%, $30.7 million for number 3 spot. Red One made $12.8 million this week, which is actually a good number for it. It's clearly thanks to the Thanksgiving crowds. And then the best Christmas pageant ever made it $3.2 million. So my prediction for Venom being maybe number 5 one more time didn't happen. Whatever. Moana 2. I am Moana. Yeah. Moana 2 is doing great numbers. Absolutely. My review for that is up. You can check it out. Apparently it's made on about $150 million. Makes sense. That's actually a pretty reasonable budget for a big film like this. Now, when looking up the marketing budget, it's a little difficult. Like, I would have expected like $100 million. I'm seeing like $150 million allegedly. I don't know if I believe that, but it's because of some of the marketing we've been seeing, I guess I could see it being possible. The one that I'm more like dubious of is the number that we get on Wicked, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, no, I could still see this being $100 million in at least a minimum $100 million in marketing. That I definitely saw. But another extra 50 on top of that, that might be a little pushing it. But let's just conservatively say that yes, those are the numbers. It's 300 total. That means this film has to hit about 450 to break even. This film at $386 million has not broken even. Think about that. Which, even if I was right about the $100 million, which would mean that this still barely had only just broken even. But I'll have to look into that number, especially for the end of the year. Still, 386 on its worldwide opening. That's fantastic numbers just to start with. 135 for its opening weekend total. That's nearly its entire production budget right there. That means this week alone it's going to cross the 450 mark. It'll break even. And it's honestly going to make more than the original ever did. I mean, the original, if I remember correctly, let's get that up real quick. Oh, on our way. Oh, put a bones here. Moana. I am Moana. Yeah. Oh, that's right. The live action Moana's coming too. We'll see how that is. I actually really looking forward to live action How You Dream. $643 million. Do we believe that Moana 2 will surpass this number? All the projections say yes. In fact, it's probably it may very well pass it this next weekend. It's over halfway to that number. So it's nowhere near infeasible to think it can do it. Plus, we do not have a strong weekend coming up this weekend. Just to go over that real quick. This weekend, in wide release, we have Solo Leveling Reawakening. I don't think any of us believe it's going to actually do anything to Moana. Y2K, which I will admit, if there is a showing for this, I will be there. That looks ridiculous. Getaway, which that's right. That's deal with like a killer on an island. And Werewolves, another movie that if there's a showing for it, I will be there probably. Nothing says season's greetings like furry friends tearing you apart. But you saw all those. Nothing this weekend is going to do anything to Moana 2. It's basically like trying to throw a punch and the guy doesn't even move. Just, my turn? It's like, oh, that's adorable. Like, nothing here is going to do anything to Moana 2. Not this weekend, anyway. The following weekend is where we can actually start to talk about things affecting Moana 2. Because I think that's the weekend of Sonic 3 and Mufasa, or it's the weekend of Craven. Let me double check that. And we'll talk more about it come next weekend, but not this coming weekend, but you know what I mean. So let's see. It'd be the 13th, right? So let's see. Kraven the Hunter. That's it. Kraven the Hunter comes out. That one's not tracking very big. And we also got Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim. That might do something. And I'll say Kraven's going to at least take some box office away from Moana. It's not till the following weekend after that where Mufasa and Sonic come out, where that's going to really put a crank in some of the momentum. Regardless, though, Moana 2, why did it do so well? Well, because people loved the original Moana. That's what it is. And yeah, and this movie is still good. It's not as good. It's not as good. The longer I sit on it, the more I'm like, no, it's definitely not as good as the original, but it's still a very good, very enjoyable movie that I would see again if someone I knew wanted to see it. And I still agree with what some people said. I think the third act of this movie is better than the third act of the original movie. I think where the story ends up and where it's going to go and how they handle it, I think is just done better here than in the original, but for different reasons than the original. I think the original is still fantastic. I love the original. Still, Moana 2, look, this is also going to have the benefit of families. We're in now December. It's the holiday season. This is the time where a lot of people go to the theaters a lot, especially because schools are going to get out for a couple of weeks, depending on, what you're college or if you're elementary. Families are going to be out and over for, dinner in different towns. So this is the prime time. Like, Moana chose a perfect time. Thanksgiving into Christmas and New Year's, the perfect time to come out. So we're going to keep our eyes on Moana too, but it's going to be big. No joke. We'll have to see what next week looks like. But if it's over 600 million next week, which is entirely possible based on the fact no competition, what it opened on here domestically and international possible numbers, if it's over 600 million next week, I'm going to call it, it's not a lock, but I'm going to say it's, if you told me to put $5 down, I would say yes, it makes $1 billion. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Wicked made another $80 million this week. Right now it's at $359 million against another $150 million budget. Apparently that number's been adjusted. Okay, so this is where I have to call some level of bull. I looked up the marketing budget for this film. I was expecting 100 million, maybe. That seemed reasonable based on the amount I saw. Granted, they did do a lot of other extra marketing beyond the trailers and all that, but still 100 million. Allegedly, there is $200 million put into marketing for this film. 350 total. Now, I did see someone say that was between the first and the second film, but we haven't even gotten to that yet. So would that mean that it's 100 million? So I'll look at it like this for now until I'll split it down the middle on two fronts, because 200 million for one film, I don't care how big Wicked may be. You don't put $200 million in marketing unless you're like Avengers or something like that. Yes, there's a built-in fan base for Wicked, and it's clearly doing very, very well, but that's ridiculous. Let's go with my first thought, the original thought. Let's go also with the idea that between the two films, there's a $200 million in marketing. That means $100 million in marketing for each film, which makes a large amount more sense. Now you're looking at a film that's made on $250. It has to make about $375 to break even. It will break even by the end by probably Wednesday. It'll be broken even, if not Tuesday. And that would make sense. That just makes sense. Split it between the two films, absolutely. Now, if it's the 200 million, that means you're looking at a film now that actually has to make, no joke, I believe the film has to make like $500 and some odd million against a 150 budget. That doesn't make any sense. In fact, one second, I'm going to look this up again because I have to be, this can't be right. Okay, Wicked marketing budget. Okay, outside of Wicked's 150 production budget, the movie received a marketing push worth up to 350. Stacking up, but here's the thing. Wait. Where did I see it that said it's possibly split between the first? Okay, wait. Okay, this is Reddit, so I'm not buying that. All right, let's try Variety real quick here because Variety is usually pretty good. Inside, we got how Universal quoted 400 brands and spent. Okay, anything on this actual marketing? Okay, the expensive global marketing efforts are estimated to cost 150 according to rival studios. This doesn't include the 300 combined. Okay, whoa. Okay. This is where it's coming from. The idea. Okay, Now I see where maybe some confusion is being lied by some people. Costs 150 according to rival studio executives. That's still expensive, but I can believe 150 over 200. And that doesn't include the combined $300 million production budget for Wicked 1 and 2, which arrives in 1 year. Okay, this actually seems to make a lot more sense to me now. Because, like, seriously, I'm like, $200 million for a $150 million film is suicide, honestly. Very few films can pull that kind of profit back. There's a huge list of films worldwide that have have made a lot of money, but when you actually break down the numbers, you're talking about a film that would have just had to have made 500 plus million just to break even. At 150, however, and when I think more on the marketing I saw, not just the trailers, but the interviews they were doing, the toilets, the commercials, all that, it does make more sense maybe around 150. Now you're looking at a film that has to hit 450 to break even, which does make a lot more logical sense. That is usually, even for big films, where the break-even point lies, especially when you're dealing with films in between 100 and 200 million. Once you get past that, now there's only a handful of films that need more, when you're talking about the grand scheme of things, that need more than, say, 450 to break even. Usually those are films that have a budget 200 million plus with more marketing than 100 million. Deadpool and Wolverine, for example, was a rare exception of a $200 million film with only $100 million worth of marketing. Whereas other films like The Fast and the Furious don't know how to budget or market because as much as I love Vin Diesel and that crew, and while they're entitled to raises, they are. The amount of raises they've clearly gotten have kind of gone to their heads a little bit. Granted, that's pretty much how they make their livings, let's be honest. And the rest of the acting is just their side gigs that they occasionally get paid for also. But yeah, okay, so 450 will this film do 450? Absolutely, it's going to do 450. There's no question in my mind. Just like with Moana, this film doesn't have anything hurting it for several weeks minimum. Even Craven, which I said will do a little bit of business against Moana and Wicked probably because it's just a new release and new tentpole film. It's still probably going to be above Craven, unfortunately for Craven. With no strong competition and a huge word of mouth going around right now, it is definitely it's going to become a beloved film, and apparently there's going to be there's definitely awards consideration going on. So Wicked definitely has a wicked journey ahead of it. We'll have to see if the international will pick up too. Like I said in the previous box office, the international for this is not going to be anywhere near as big as something like, say, Gladiator 2, which has a very large international market right now at 320, or actually 208, which puts it worldwide at 320. Now, I heard someone who I listen to every day say that its budget was 100 million or 106 million, something like that. Where the hell did you get those numbers? Because every time I put Gladiator 2's marketing budget in, or it's Gladiator 2's budget. Hold on. Gladiator 2 budget. Every time I put that in, okay, wait, no, aha. This is where they must have gotten confused about. The original Gladiator was $103 million. That's exactly what the problem is. It's not Gladiator. What? And why are you giving me Gladiator and not Gladiator 2 when I typed in Gladiator 2? All right, fine. I'll do this instead. Do the L's. Gladiator 2. Why is it giving me this? Why is it giving me the II? All right, fine. I'll do that. Gladiator 2's budget. Why did you... See, this is the thing. Gladiator 2, yeah. Budget balloons. Yeah, that's exact. So I feel bad for the person who got confused about that. No. Yeah, it's estimated between 210 and 310, which means it averages out to 260. 260, mind you. Now, maybe when they say estimated the ballooned up to, maybe an actual number coming at some point. But I got to do the estimates right now at 260. This is a film that easily has a marketing budget, minimum $100 million, minimum. And so you're looking at a film that basically has to hit 540 just to break even. Unfortunately for it, it is not going to be doing those numbers. While it does have good reviews, it is generally well liked. It is still an R-rated, nearly a 2.5 hour long movie that isn't amazing drop dead gotta see it over and over again kind of movie. Although again, the domestic drop it took this week, mind you, was only like 40%. Mind you, we are also in a holiday weekend. Again, it doesn't have the competition really this week, so that's got that going. This is the one film that actually will get really hurt by Craven coming out, no matter how few people go to see Craven. Just due to the fact that Craven is R-rated, it's still a comic book movie that's still going to have people going out to see it, even if it's a low amount. So, we'll have to see what Gladiator 2 ultimately does. It will probably make over $400 million. That I have very little doubt about. That I feel very confident in, actually. It can make over $400 million. Whether or not it's 500, that's, I believe if I estimate right, 540, roughly. And I'm just being nice about the marketing budget. That marketing budget could be a lot more, quite frankly. So we'll have to wait and see. But what's the takeaway for why Gladiator 2, A, didn't open up as high as, say, it could have, and B, why it's probably going to not make money? Well, allegedly, the budget alone is the problem. If it had been able to stick to about the 210 that initially was estimated at, but instead before the budget ballooned, it'd still have to probably hit 450, but I'd see that as a doable goal. Why a lot of people didn't go out to see it the opening weekend? Well, A, Wicked came out. B, I don't know how many people are still interested in a Gladiator movie. So that's another reason. As for, why is something like Wicked doing really well? Well, it's a very good movie that people are wanting to go back to see multiple times. It had a built-in fan base of the stage play to come off it as well. Moana had the built-in success of the original movie, and it's a family film. So Wicked and Moana's success makes perfect sense. Gladiator 2's, let's not call it failure, but Gladiator 2's lack of success is mostly coming down to the fact that it really just, I think it's too late. It was too late for it. Ridley Scott should have probably, honestly, if Ridley Scott had done this after The Martian, and let's just give us quality, his reputation wouldn't be so hurt right now, because Ridley Scott's reputation, let's be honest, isn't what it used to be. And like with a lot of his films, he's had a tendency of going over budget, making these big films, and then blaming people for not going out to see them. When it's like, dude, what was my Doctor Who quote last week? It's like, but times change and so must I. Like you never realized you had to change and grow with the times. You, Scorsese, Coppola, you guys just never realized that, apparently. And Coppola didn't say anything negative. He just made Megalopolis, which was not a good film, from what I understand. An exercise in futility, if you will. So, yeah. Red One, though, benefited from the holiday weekend, only dropping 2.5%. $148 million. It's still going to be another humongous loss this week, or for whoever distributed it, which they do not wish to say. Yeah, there's nothing under there. But yeah, and again, the question would be, why did this film just fall flat on its face? I mean, look, The Rock's status as a celebrity status has Dwayne's the status of Dwayne has waned a little bit. He's not, because of all the kind of stuff that's come out about him. I think people are kind of not souring, but losing interest with The Rock. So I think that's part of it. The trailers were fine, but I have the feeling that it just wasn't. It wasn't really catching the interest of the audience in the way it should. It also was just too expensive to make. Even if you take out the $50 extra million that apparently got added on because of The Rock, basically, being tardy on set or whatever, 200 million seems way too much for this film. I think like 130, 140 million would have worked as a better number. Mind you, it still would have lost money, but still. So I don't know. It's unfortunate. I enjoyed the film, actually. I had a good time with it. Best Christmas pageant ever. 3.7 million, 32 million. I think that does put this in roughly the profit range because it's like only 8 million. So yeah, good for it. And now that we're getting into the holiday season, this might get a second kind of like Beetlejuice did, where it was going into the Halloween season and therefore it slowed down its rate of decline for its box office. Bonhoeffer Pastor Spy Assassin made another 2.4 million. I mean, good for it. I don't know. I don't know about the story about this story. Apparently it's based off a real person, a real story, but I don't know much about it beyond that. Then Last Dance made another 2.2 million, $468 million worldwide. It's about where I thought I'd be at where it end, about between 450, 475. Might even hit like the 480 range when it's all said and done, but it's still got 32 million to 500. I don't see it happening when it's only making 2.2 million on a holiday weekend. So Heretic, a little under a million, made 36 million. I do believe that puts it roughly profitable. Roughly. It wasn't heavily marketed or anything, so I think it was like 10 million or 15 million, something like that. With probably 10 million in marketing. So you are looking at a film that is most likely going to make a little bit of money. So good for it. That's an underrated film, I think, this year, Heretic. The Wild Robot made a little over $500,000, 670 grand, 320 million. It's pretty closed out, but for a movie that only opened up 35 million to make that much money, good for it. And it's only made on like 75 million, so it's another win for Universal. Everything else is pretty minor in terms of what it made and where it stands in the overall box office, but it's still a fantastic weekend at box office, a $200+ million weekend at the box office. And we still got a couple more big films to come out this year. As I said, we got Craven, which, however big it is going to be, I mean, I will still be there to see it. I like the trailers. That Johnny Cash song is used really well. There's a man going around taking names, and he decides who to kill and who to blame. Then you got December 20th, Sonic 3 and Mufasa. Homestead, even though that says wide release, I don't believe it. And Baby Girl, maybe. But no, it's going to be Mufasa. And Mufasa's not even tracking that big. And then and Christmas Day is here once more. Nosferatu must engorge on human blood, virgin or like. No, Nosferatu. I'll be at Nosferatu on Christmas Day. Of all the movies to usher in the Christmas season. So what do I think will be number one this week? Well, provided I don't think any of the new releases are really going to be doing much. It's going to be Moana 2 again. It's going to be Wicked. I think those are locks for number one and number two. After that, I honestly just don't think Y2K or Werewolves is going to do much above 5 million. So I'm going to cap that there for my prediction. So I'll put Gladiator 2 at number 3. So basically, honestly, this is all going to look mostly the same. Red 1, I think, will be at number 4 again. And I guess I'll put Y2K at number 5. Again, it's just there's no major releases coming out this week. So it's going to be a little bit of an interesting week to look at. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. What did you think of the box office this week? Any surprises? Exactly what you expected? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.